Assalamu alaikum. Now we are going to start next topic from chapter 9, which is about the usage of normal distribution to approximate the binomial distribution to develop the confidence interval for proportion. So what is the proportion? Proportion is basically a success of number of trials, or you can say x divided by n, total number of trials. We can say proportion is equal to x over n. To develop a confidence interval from proportion, so in previous lecture we have construct the confidence interval for z test and t test, or in this lecture we are see that how we will develop the confidence interval for proportion. We need to meet the following assumptions. So here we have a following assumptions for the proportion. In previous we have a assumptions for z and t test where sigma is unknown. Sigma is known for z and n is greater than 30. For t-test, sigma is unknown and n is less than 30. Now here we have the confidence interval for proportion, and it has the binomial conditions. We already discussed the characteristic of binomial distribution, and let's see what conditions are. The sample data is results of counts. So we are counting the trials, and there are only two possible outcomes, success and failure. Two possible outcomes, failure. The probability of success remains the same from one trial to next trial. So when we have the two possible outcomes only, the probability will be same. For one outcome, it will be zero point 0.5 and zero point 0.5. The trials are independent. Trials are independent. There, the one trial which is happened earlier have a no effect on the other trial. So this means the outcome on one trial does not affect the outcome of another. So this is how the independent trials are defined. The value of n into pi. So this n into pi is equal to mean value of binomial distribution. This terminology is basically used for the probability of success. So this is the probability of success, and then n into 1 minus probability of success, or you can say that n into the probability of failure, which is equal to the standard deviation. If we take the under root of this terminology, should both be greater than or equal to 5. This condition allows us to invoke the central limit theorem. So if these two characteristics are greater than 5 or equal to 5, so we can use the central limit theorem and employ the standard normal distribution, that is Z, to complete a confidence interval. So we can find out the confidence interval by using Z if we have a greater or equal to 5 value of mean and standard deviation. So let's move on to the next slide. So here we have a formula for the proportion. The confidence interval of population proportion is estimated by P. P is equal to x over n plus minus z value, which is two-tailed test, alpha divided by 2, and then this is the formula for the population proportion, P into 1 minus P divided by n under the root. So let's move on and let's see how this formula have its application to an example. The confidence interval for population proportion, the example is Union, representing the bottle blowers of America, is considering a proposal to merge with the Teamsters Union. According to DBA Union Bay laws, at least three-fourths of the union. So this is the information given. The sample, random sample is 2000, means N is 2000, and current BBA members reveals 1600 plan to the vote for the merger proposal. So the probability of success is 1600. Sorry, this is basically X value, or you can say the success from the end trials. So proportion formula is the uh, X divided by N. So the X are the successes and N is the number of trials. So here we are going to estimate the population proportion and develop a 95% of confidence interval for the population proportion. So what is the decision we are going to have in this example? Your decision on this sample information can conclude that the necessary proportion of BBA members favor the merger. So we need to find out the proportion of BBA members who will favor the merger. So let's see how we will compute the sample proportion. P is equal to x minus n. We will divide these two terminologies. We will get the proportion of zero point 0.8. So then we will compute the 95% of confidence interval. So how we will compute? We will have a p value, then plus minus, then a z value. So we will see the z value from the table at 95% of confidence interval. Z value is 1.96. Alpha divided by 2, it means we will have this value on the both side of the diagram, or minus 1.96 and plus 1.96. Sorry. So this is the 1.96. Okay. Then we will put the value of p, then 1 minus p divided by n. After the calculation, we will get the interval. So this is the interval for after adding and subtracting these two terminologies, or you can say these two expressions. A conclusion: the merger proposal will likely pass because the interval estimate includes values greater than 75% of union members. So the interval is estimating that the 75% of union member will favor the merger proposal. So this is how we will calculate the uh, proportion and construct the confidence interval for a population proportion. So in this slide, we are going to see the finite population correction factor. A population that has a fixed upper bound is said to be finite. Finite basically defined as limited, or we can say that a countable population. for a finite population where the total number of object is n is basically denoting the number of population, and the error of and the size of sample is n. So the small n is representing the sample. The following adjustment is made to standard error of the sample mean and the proportion. So these two n's are basically adjusting the standard error between sample mean and the proportion. So how they will do? However, n or capital N is less than 0.05, the finite population correction factor may be ignored. So when we will ignore this correction factor, if we have this condition met, which is n divided by n is less than 0.05. So if it is less than 0.05, we will not use this population correction factor. Otherwise, we need to multiply this factor with this formula, the formula of standard error basically. So this is the formula of standard error where the sigma subscript x bar is equal to sigma divided by under root n, and this is the correction factor for mean. So this is the standard error of sample mean, and this is the standard error of sample proportion. So when we have a finite population, we need to consider this information, and if it is less than 0.05, we are going to ignore this correction factor. So let's move on to the next slide. So here we have the calculation of FPC when n over n changes. So we have a finite population correction factor for sample, a selected sample when the population is 1000. So here we have the given population is this, the sample size is this, and the population is this. So this is the correction factor. We will calculate this correction factor by using this formula. Population size minus sample size divided by population size minus 1 under the rule. So this is the formula for correction factor. So let's move on to the next slide. So here we have the confidence interval formula for estimating mean and proportion with finite population correction factor. So when we will find out the confidence interval for mean and for mean when standard deviation is unknown and n is less than 30, and for proportion when there is a finite population, we will use this formula to multiply with this. So let's move on to the next slide. So this is how the formula will be changed according to the population size. So the confidence interval for mean with finite population. So let's see the example. There are 250 families in Scandia, Pennsylvania. a random number of sample, the n is given, and the large n is 250, small n is 40, uh, and the mean annual church contribution is 450, and the standard deviation is 7. So this is the mean value and this is the standard deviation. So we are going to develop a 90% of confidence interval for the population mean and interpret the confidence interval. So the interpretation is very important when you will do the examples of these concepts. You have to interpret the confidence interval or the results. You can say you have to conclude the results in a written form. So the given example, we have a capital N and 250 and a small n which is 40 and standard deviation which is $75. So since n divided by capital N which is equal to 0.16, the finite population factor must be used. So if we divide n divided by capital N, if it's less than zero point 0.5, we have to use the correction factor. So let me check, it is 5 or 0.5. Oh, it's, so let me rewrite the this condition. If n divided by capital N is less than 0.05, we actually don't need to multiply this correction factor with this formula. So here we have a 0.10 which is 16 which is greater than 0.05. So the population standard deviation is not known. Therefore, because we have the sample standard deviation, the population standard deviation, and which is sigma, is unknown. So we are going to use the t-test, and n is less than 30. So we cannot use the z-test in this situation, and we will use the this formula, which is meeting all the condition mentioned in a question. So let's move on to the next slide. So here we have the calculation of that particular question. So there are two differences in this solution. The first one is the population correction factor, finite population correction factor. And the second one is T is one-tailed. So here you can see that T is not alpha divided by 2, it is alpha. And the if it was 0.10 for two tail size, we will divide this one divided by 2, and now this is alpha one tail, so it is 0.10, and the second subscript is n minus 1, this is 40 minus 1. So we will see this point at column and this in row. So the distribution or diagram will be like this. So we will have the value above the or on one side of the uh, diagram. So this is will be alpha. So there is a 10% chance of error, or we are not confident at the level of 10%, and there is a 90% of confidence level, or you can say confidence interval. So we will calculate for this example, we will do the calculations and we will find out two values for the lower bound and upper bound, or you can say upper limit and lower limit. And at the end, we will conclude that it is likely that population mean is more than 431.65 but less than 468.35. To put another way, could the population mean be 445? So this is the question they pose against the conclusion. Yes, but it is not likely that it is 425 because the value of 445 is within the confidence interval and the 225 is not within the confidence interval. So the given interpretation is different from the book. So I just checked the example from the book where the additional information was also given at the last point of the question. So let's move to the slide where the examples question was described. So here it is. So there was some additional information was given in the book. Uh, After the standard deviation, which is $75, could the population mean be dollar 445 or 425? So they were asking that the mean of population can be 445 or 425. So the answer is given over here that after the calculation of this interval, it is confirmed that mean will be lies between this interval. On the other hand, after the additional information access from the book, which is about the 445 is mean or 425 is population mean. So we can say that the population mean can be 445 because it lies within this interval. So 425 is not within the confidence interval. So let's move on to the next slide. Selecting the sample size. So how we can select a sample size? There are three factors that determine the size of sample, none which has any direct relationship to the size of population. So there are three factors: the degree of confidence selected, the maximum allowable error, and the variation in population. So these are three main factors. The level of confidence which we have discussed, getting the favorable results, 99%, 95%, and 90%. Then the second factor is allowable error, the maximum allowable error or the width of corresponding confidence interval. And the third factor to determine the sample size or population standard deviation, or you can say the variation in the population. So next we have the formula for the sample size. So this is the formula for sample size. So here we have n because we are calculating the size of sample. This is Z value corresponding to the selected confidence level. It can be 95% or 99%, and this is the allowable error. If we have a 95%, then this error will be 5%. If we have 99%, then this error will be 1%. And S is the sample deviation from the pilot sample. So let's move on to the next slide and see how we can calculate the sample size. So here we have a sample size determination for a variable. So we are now going to determine a sample size for a variable. A student in a public administration wants to determine the mean amount member of city councils in a large cities earn per month as a remuneration for being council member. The error is estimating the mean is to be less than $100 with a 95% of confidence interval. So there is a 95% level of confidence. There is a probability of 95%, and 100 is allowable error. So 100 is given. Mean is to be less than 100. So there is estimating error. In the question, error is also mentioned. So the next point is the estimating the standard deviation, which is 1000. So after inserting the values in the formula, we got the 385. So let's see. They have extracted the information from the given problem. E is the maximum allowable error is $100. The value of Z at 90% level of confidence, the value of Z is 1.96, and the estimate of standard deviation is $1,000. So this is the sample size will be 385 for the given variable. So moving on to the next slide. So there is another example for the calculation of sample size. A consumer group would like to estimate the mean monthly electricity charge for a single family house in July within $5 using a 99% of level of confidence. So we are having a 99% of level of confidence. I think I have mentioned the wrong value earlier. So it is not 2.85, it's basically 2.58 at 99%. Based on similar studies, the standard deviation is estimated $20. So standard deviation is also given. So here we have the formula, and we have put the value in it. So 2.5 is 99% of confidence interval, 20 is standard deviation, and 5 is error, allowable error. So for this variable, the sample will be 107, 107 number of observation. We'll have a 107 number of observations. So this is how we will calculate the sample size. So here we are going to calculate the sample size for proportion. So the formula have a difference here because some a proportion has two possible outcomes, P and 1 minus P, and multiply with the z value and the allowable error and whole scale. So the p estimate from a pilot study or some source, otherwise zero point 0.5 is used. Okay, because there are only two outcomes, failure and success, and both have a probability of zero point 0.5 to be occurred, 50-50% chances. So we can find out this proportion by dividing x over n. If it's not given, this information is not given, then we will use zero point 0.5 instead of this calculation. So we will put the value here for proportion, and then we will put the value of z according to the given or desired confidence level, and E is the maximum allowable error. So let's move on to the next slide. So here we have a example for the proportional sample size. American Canal Club wanted to estimate the proportion of children that have a dog as a pet. So they wanted to estimate the proportion of children they own a dog. If club wanted the estimate to be within 3% of population proportion, how many children would they need to contact? So they are going to find out the population proportion of 3% of children is are having pets. Assume a 95% level of confidence that the club estimated that 30% of children have a dog as a pet. So the 30% of children have a dog as a pet. It means that there is a 30% of success, and its complement is failure, which is 70%. So if we have a p is 30%, then 1 minus p is the will be equal to failure, which is 0.07. So if we put the value of p into the given expression, it will be equal to 0.17, 0.7, 70%. So this is how we will made the calculation for sample proportion, and we will find out that the number of observation will be 895 for this sample. So let's move on to the next slide. So here is another example for the sample proportion, where we have a study to need to estimate the proportion of cities that have private refuse collector. The investigator wants the margin of error within zero point 0.1. So there is an error of 0.1 of the population proportion. The desired level of confidence is 90. So desired level of confidence is 90%, and no estimate available for the population proportion. What is required? So the probability of success or failure is unknown. So we will use 0.5 instead of any other uh, integer. Then we will, if the success is zero point 0.5, the failure is also zero point 0.5, because the total probability is equal to 100. At the 90% of confidence level, we have a value of 1.65 divided by zero point 0.1 of the given allowable error whole square, and we will find out the n size of sample. So n is 69 cities. So the preferable sample will be 69 cities. Thank you so much. I think this chapter is end here. In next lecture, we will study a new chapter. Please do the relevant example of this chapter as well, because if you people will be doing the example uh, at the same time, you will get the better results. Thank you so much. Allah Hafiz.